We have a huge panel here and best of both the worlds, if I may say, the brand and the planners together. So we're looking forward to an exciting session. Without wasting more time, I would jump directly to the questions and I would start from the left. Bhuvan, we're so happy to have you here. First of all, thank you for joining us. I'll start with a very simple question. I'll come to each one of you with that question. Uh, the car ads we used to see when I was growing up, at least, it was very simple ads, happy family, in a car, and you put a jingle and you call it a day, right? It was as simple as that, and it worked. But it has seen a huge transformation over the years. If you can just give us a short summary of how you see this change in storytelling, in putting out the communication out there. So, what are your observations?
Thank you for the question. Actually, I think over the years, as you said, the content and distribution of content both have changed significantly and to match the relevance of today's consumers. So everything revolves on how consumers want to see and get communicated. Earlier, it was more about the car itself. The communication was on the product. Car is a high involvement purchase, so it was all about product. But I think over the years, it has started evolving, going for last couple of decades towards experiences, aspirations. And you saw a lot of ads with a family going for a holiday or a off-roading drive experience, or such things have been part of having an emotive connect with the consumers. And I think this is kind of growing as really important to just not sell a tangible product, but to sell a dream. I think it's now moving, while this stays, I mean, this is like really important because that's the heart of any product selling. But it's also moving, branching towards a very personalized way of reaching out to the consumer with a more detailed and relevant content. So I am kind of showed my interest in a product, then today the digital media enables me to reach out to you with a more educative kind of more detailed stuff on the product. That's also become part of marketing, and it's very personalized. So down the funnel, you start sharing content with the prospective customers, which normally he would land up doing once the decision was finalized of buying. Today, even before that, we try to bring him down with to the funnel and the conversion by sharing beyond what has been the traditional way of marketing. So that's how, and I think digital marketing, social media platform, various other OTT platform have enabled that to be done. Content has to be shared today, not when you want to share. Content has to be shared when I want to consume. So the timing, the relevance, all has started becoming very important. And I think we are all moving in that direction clearly. So.
Right. One key word I picked up from that answer, Bhuvan, is personalization. I think it's a big piece in any conversation today. Vimal, I would like you to elaborate on that. How does that work for your brand?
Hello. I think a motorcycle is a little different than four wheels, right?
Absolutely.
So I'll tell from the perspective of motorcycle, right?
Sure.
It's very emotional buy when you buy into motorcycle, and motorcycle is nothing but a reflection of an individual who's buying into it. So if he buys a super sports, is very quick. The guy who wants to do an adventure biking is somebody who's into adventures and also very personal buying. I think one change what you're seeing in India and globally also it's happening is that it's no more a product first, it's a customer first. So that's the shift which is happening. So what a consumer wants is what the companies have to make. In the past, it was what I have made, you please buy it. So that shift is happening not only from the product side, but also from the marketing side or consumer side, or when you kind of address those consumers digitally. I think personalization is becoming very, very big in India. So to give an example, like in TVS, we have a premium set of motorcycles, right? And RTRs and RRs, which are very, very high end of our motorcycle product range we have. There we have something called as BTOs, built to order, right? The customer can come there, upgrade his specs in terms of what he wants more in his motorcycle, right from safety to the power to the technology. and he can order it online, he buys it because he doesn't want to be in the mass. So personalization is new luxury. Personalization is new way the consumers are looking to consume the product.
Sure.
So I think that's the way forward for India also, and that's the way forward because India is moving from being a commuter country where kitna deti hai to kitni safe hai. So that whole dialect is changing, and it's no more about the price of the bike. It's more about how much of EMI is it for. I can buy it. I think that's a change which is happening in the motorcycle segment, at least in the premium setup.
Absolutely. So we heard Bhuvan and Vimal tell us their side of the story on what's working for the brand. Now I'll come to three of you with the same question. What is working for the brands when it comes to choosing the right media mix for the products that they are offering, right? Are you segmenting it in terms of categories or in terms of the purchase size? How does it work? I know it is not one size fits all situation in every product that we talk about, but still when it comes to auto as a category overall, is it traditional, is it digital, any media taking an upper hand? Anisha, we'll start with you.
I want a day when I don't have to answer a media mix question, but anyway. Okay, so a couple of things. I think decision of media mix has to be corroborated by how many people you want to eventually sell your product or how many products you want to sell. And some science over a period of time to ascertain what eventually gets you that sale, whether it's an assisted sale or whether it's a direct sale, whatever the case may be. In the absence of information that specifically calls out from point A to point Z how your specific business runs, ideally that shouldn't be the case. So that should be the first mandate in that sense. If that's not there, then the next best thing to do is to look at category benchmarks, therefore, and the questions are still the same. What is it that is assisting the eventual sale? I mean, beyond a point, it doesn't matter how many people I reach or how many likes or shares or whatever I get. I have to sell X number of units every month, every year, and that's the business we are all in. So if there is a way, and there is a way to do that very effectively now, where you can draw a line between input and outcome. And the minute you have that, then life becomes very easy. So in our world, for example, given the breadth of auto manufacturers or OEMs we manage, there isn't a one size fits all. In fact, in the same segment, you will have two different businesses having two very disparate results in terms of impact of a particular medium versus another. So, for example, if let's say in the 5 to 10 lakh range of cars, there would be one auto manufacturer whose attribution is extremely solid on print advertising, for example, but for another it would be absolutely absent. And there would be various reasons for that, right? You'd have base equity at play, you would have surround at play, you would have other reach elements at play. But then again, so the more bespoke it is for you, the better it is. And media mix, therefore, in my view, is a derivative and not necessarily the input.
Right. Nikhil, same question to you. What do you suggest when you have conversations with your auto clients? What is the suggestion that comes from you in terms of media mix? Do you have like a preferred suggestion, or like Anisha mentioned, you have to tailor your strategy according to, of course, the brand who's approaching you?
No, I think fundamentally I listen more than suggest less. I think each marketer who's managing their consumers are doing a fairly decent job of understanding the consumer segment. I represent ad tech, so I think I'll answer from that perspective. We live in a world today where the car test drive is available in 10 minutes on Zepto.
Yes.
Okay, so I think fundamentally when you're talking about media mix, it basically changes the entire way you look at funnels. Most auto car manufacturers or partners that we work with fundamentally are running a very tight engine, right? It's very fundamentally driven towards ROI. There is a distributor ecosystem that needs to be managed. There is a competition element that needs to be managed. And then there is the impact on the consumer. And then obviously there is the education. EVs are coming over. They're going to be 2 to 5% of the market already, as we understand. There's a significant amount of education that's required to be done in lieu of government regulation, policies changing, and adoption of a particular segment. Now, all of these are requiring very different adoptions from a marketing mix. Um, no advertising is done for the purpose of showing a great ad, right? I don't think any ad is made कि I made a very good ad, अब तो मैं सबको दिखाऊंगा. I think any advertising that's done is for driving a particular objective, which is predominantly intent, interest, conversion, and then obviously purchase. Maruti here obviously has 24 out of 26 of their steps for purchase digitized. I was reading it somewhere, which is, they did it like a while back. TVS has automated chatbots, which is predominantly answering everything. So the adoption of technology is already existing. In terms of media adoption, I think how we look at it is one of the things that Media Smart has done in the last 4 years is we've been at the forefront of building the connected TV category in the market. And why we've been able to exist and survive is we never just talk about laying out an impression, which is basically serving an ad, but at the end of the day, if the ad is seen, there has to be a reaction to the ad. I liked the BMW ad or the Maruti ad or the TVS Scooty ad. Now I want to try it or I want to find more about it. And I think we are able to connect those journeys from the screen that you see where you can't take an action to the other screen that you have in your pocket, which is the mobile, where you can take an action, and thereby connecting and giving a funnel to the marketer and giving them an exciting proposition of, I spend X dollars and why happened. And I think post-COVID, in general, most marketers have become a little bit more cognizant of that ROI impact. And especially in the auto car ecosystem, I think location-driven technologies, multi-screen marketing, your connected TV with household sinks kind of tech has been at the forefront. We have seen a significant jump in auto car manufacturers actually jumping on the connected TV bandwagon and really adopting it with full grace. So that's what I've been seeing, and it's exciting, and we'll talk more about it.
Right. Same question to you, Brijesh. If you can wrap up this question also for us. And if I'm not wrong, you have offerings in OOH also, right?
Digital.
Yes, digital OOH. So how is that working? How is that conversation coming together?
So again, for the media mix perspective, I think it's been now 18 years that I'm doing digital. So I think I'm very biased towards digital. That works, into all different media mixes. What we have seen, which works, channel, a lot of times we have seen is that hyper-local. One is personalization, other one is hyper-local, which is the most important part. What sells in Vasant Kunj doesn't sell in Mahipalpur. That's very clear. Whether it is a car, whether it's a two-wheeler, whether it's a four-wheeler. What sells in Kormangla doesn't sell in Lalbagh. So it is very, very clear, and this digital is the only medium now which can actually reach the psychographics and the demographics and the locality or everything that you do. In fact, all the car makers, they make cars for segments. They don't make one car for all. If you have one car for all, then the only medium is Twitter, right? That's what Elon Musk has proved it. He just does Twitter. That's it, nothing else. So there are segments, and so it's very, very important that we creative, communication, and media mix. All three are very important in the whole cycle, because if I want to sell an S-Cross or I want to sell an XL6, there are two different people that are the TG right now. Now, if I say that, I'll take one medium and I'll basically just print the country, okay, try it. Try it. But the fact is that there is an audience in Bandra West which is looking for this particular thing, and there's an audience in Bandra East. So, I think hyper-local personalization, digital is the only channel now available which can actually do this very, very effectively. And actually from morning I've been hearing in the auto segment where we always felt that top of the funnel was the main channel. I'm hearing from everyone, they're saying, even my TV campaign is ROI. I'm like, wow. So everything is becoming ROI, everything is becoming ROS driven. So if there is ROS, there is ROI, and all the focus is there, then I think digital is the key. That is where it will happen. But yes, if I want to wrap up this session and say all different types, yes, we've seen some digital OOH, and top of the funnel definitely works to build the brand trust. Today, I would blindly buy, I'm not being biased, but I'll blindly buy a Maruti car because I know that वो कितना देती है, correct, but वो लंबा चलती भी है. You know, that is the thing. Yeah, I would end up buying a TVS two-wheeler versus a different two-wheeler because I know that there is trust, it's going to last long, it's going to be with me, and I don't have to, you know, go around and around service centers all the while as I do in some other things. So it's all
Guys,
mixed.
pre-panel convictions really work. So pre-panel convictions are another form of marketing now. You know,
Oh,
so
there is no this is not. This is all from ChatGPT.
Right, you know, it's interesting. You, both of you, in fact, all three of you on the media side mentioned one key thing that I could pick up from. There was personalization, there was CTV, there was DOOH. So I would come to you, Bhuvan, with the same question. In terms of, you know, digital we know has become a dominant force in influencing purchases in the car segment as well. So what innovative strategies exactly, or, you know, tech integrations is working for your brand? I'll come to you with the same questions again. If you could pinpoint what is working in digital. Digital we know is a huge umbrella of things. What is working for you?
So I think what Brijesh said and what Nikhil was saying quite relevant. But कितना देती है would always remain relevant in this country.
Yes.
कितनी safe है is becoming relevant. कैसे features है वो भी relevant है. But वो कभी जाएगा नहीं इंडिया के mindset से कि कितना देती है. So on the digital thing, I think of course, थोड़ा I'll give a little counter view to that. While I fully embrace your thought, and we run the largest hyperlocal program in India in auto. I think that's a global best practice. You can check with Meta and Google. So, and of course, our that hyperlocal program is contributing almost a fourth of my sales. So, very personalized, geography-based, AI-powered. You can actually do much more. But having said that, I think everybody is talking of digital today. There are various platforms. You cannot ignore it. It's very important. It's more efficient. It's measurable. You can do course correction. So all that efficiencies come into play. But some products, and which I said, which are high involvement product like cars, the traditional media would always remain relevant.
Yes.
And small screens sometimes do not give that sense of ownership which a big view can give. So a linear TV or a print ad would stay relevant. So mix has to be seen with respect to product. Having said that, digital is something which enables you to really spend your money very efficiently. You can do various kind of integration with the partners to draw that value. For example, you asked what possible use cases are. So one of the use case I would like to share, which we have started kind of experimenting, is data passback. Okay. So when I do an audience cut to target on various social media platform and other platforms, I define the cohort and then start my campaign. You know, you can get a real-time feedback how it's moving. And based on the response in terms of actually conversion into sales, you can pass back data back to the partners in encrypted form, or they have reference codes for each individual customer. That becomes a very intelligent input for the engine to start actually within that cohort targeting those customers who have higher propensity to convert based on certain affinities, certain behavior, which gets through passed back through the actual conversion which happens. This is one use case you can do, and there are many others which help us to bring that efficiency. But yes, it's growing. Auto overall digital spends is slightly less than the average in the industry, which is not because auto does not believe in it. I think it's growing in auto also, but because a lot of people can't afford the traditional media because very expensive. But I think it has to be a good mix of both. So that's what my take is.
Vimal, what in digital works best for two-wheelers?
I think what Bhuvan said, there's no particular, I would say, silver bullet to the marketing today. Okay, it's a mix, depends on the segment you are trying to address. So for example, you're going for mass, you're going into the commuter segment, then probably you need a TV, you need a print because you're trying to address a larger audience. But when you go to premium, luxury, super premium, right? These kind of consumers you can target, and there's no better way than what Brijesh was saying through digital, whether it is hyper local. You can focus on the consumer, you can focus on that geo, you can fence it very well, you can do code wise, you can pin code, you can do everything, and the returns are much better. I don't know how many people from finance are here in this room. Any people from finance in the room? Because marketing is becoming now finance. Everything is ROI. In the past, marketing was marketing in pure sense. They would go and explore and implement and do things, fail, test. But nowadays, finance has taken over marketing in most of the companies. I don't know whether most of the panelists here are agreeing to it or not. Everything is ROI driven. When it is ROI driven, thereby digital becomes a very good medium to check the efficiency. And in premium segment per se, it really plays a very vital role. I think roughly around 1/3 of our sales in premium comes from digital. And it's been growing year on year. In addition to what I'm seeing in marketing is not restricted only to your regular traditional media spend on print, TV, hoardings, blah, blah. But also the change, what's happening in India is in terms of touch and feel is becoming very, very large.
Absolutely.
The experiential marketing is taking over in India. I want to experience it, I want to feel it, and I want to use it. Unlikely other time, my neighbor told me to buy this, my friend told me to buy this, my girlfriend told me to buy this, right? Now it's more about I want to go myself and thereby I want to experience. So experiential marketing, which was at niche in India, is now started picking up. So more experiential marketing is adding up, and which is possible through digital very easily because you know the set of the consumers you need to target, and you can go to their doorstep, offer test rides, you can go to their offices, offer test rides. So there's huge amount of the work that you can do through digital marketing when you bring the leg of experiential marketing. I think that's the
Right.
kind of the mix you would see forward.
So while we're talking about experiential, I also noticed that when Bhuvan was mentioning about traditional, all of you were nodding pretty hard, right? So Anisha, I'll come to you with the question that, we still see a lot of full pages on newspapers when it comes to bikes, cars. So how important, and we also saw so many numbers from all the, ADEX reports that were released over last week, where in traditional newspapers have a pretty dominant figure, right, to contribute to the ADEX. So is traditional still playing an important role when it comes to, the media mix that you're offering your clients?
I was having this conversation outside. I said, digital is now 20 years old. I mean, it's pretty traditional in that sense, right? I mean, 2 decades is enough to make it traditional. Okay, look, ideally, when you're building a plan for anything, be it a launch or be it a promo or be it a campaign to sustain a car that was launched a few months ago, years ago, a bike that was launched, for example, I think one of the things to understand is the journey of the consumer for that particular that particular segment or nameplate in that sense. First, there is a certain sense of inspiration that you need to give, alluding to what he said in terms of the look and feel of the vehicle. It's a car, you have to look at it. So if you're going to be all tiny about it, then you can't experience the grandeur of the car. So I think certain media that is slightly more widescreen in that sense offers you that opportunity to show it in its full, life in that sense. So there is, you inspire somebody, then they think about it, then they chat with 5 people about it, then they will do some test drive, they'll do some comparisons, and in every stage, there will be a role that digital will play, there will be a role that out of home will play, there will be a role that television will play, there will be a role, again, that digital will play, or there will be a role that a blogger will play. And this can't be a conversation about medium X gets X rupees or medium Y gets Y rupees. I think it is about understanding what it takes it takes about, 90 to 100 days for a person to start thinking about a car to eventually buying it on an average. So which means you have to be in and around this person for about 3.5 months in that journey of ultimately deciding to buy the car. It's not like I have a newspaper ad today and tomorrow my car is sold. It doesn't work like that. So in order to do that, therefore, multiple touch points are important, multimedia, understanding those touch points are important, and therefore, and the one piece that we're not talking about enough is tailoring communication to that moment and that media at that point is also important. and therefore then you look at it in that manner, and then you don't have to necessarily overthink it. It's actually pretty simple.
Would you want to elaborate on that, Nikhil?
I think she can do a really good job on the elaboration already, but I think I'll give you another one. I mean, he talked about, you know, कितना चलती है या क्या देती है, and the other one is जो दिखता है वो बिकता है, right? So to sum it up, I think no matter where, you know, how you look at advertising, you need to understand why is the digital shift. India is one of the most internet penetrated country in the world. We are the largest population. We are the second highest app downloading country in the world. Our data GB per cost is one of the cheapest. We're the top 5 actually in the world. So technically, 10 years back versus now, a mobile smartphone handset is in the hands of probably every person that you can think of. It's a fairly well penetrated country, and which is where digital is growing in terms of reach. But then we talk about impact, right? At a category like auto car, you need to see, feel, you need to, it makes you excited. And I think which is where I feel TV and print have always been a very impactful medium. The only difference that has happened over the last few years is any TV that you produce today is a smart TV. I don't know if anybody in this room saw a box TV or has it as home. Please, we would love to come and click a picture, you know. It used to be in our growing up days. So every TV is smart. Internet is fairly well penetrated. And if any of us, which I'm assuming all of us survived COVID, you spent 2 years at home and with a job and with internet. So technically, most of us just switched on to the whole internet bandwagon and started watching content. I ask this question quite a lot. How many of you have you watched Squid Games?
Yes.
You're not Korean.
No.
Have you watched Money Heist?
Yes.
You're not Spanish, but everybody is watching everything, and most of the ecosystem is shifting to that habit of TV. And where the users are is where advertising is, and I think that connected TV medium, it's a TV. You call it linear TV, you call it connected TV, it's a TV. I think some of us gave it a name as digital. If it went to the offline guy, that connected TV spends would have probably larger. But I think that medium is serving as a phenomenal medium for a car brand to really look at phenomenal storytelling. And now with technology, with DCO, you're able to optimize for what the consumer wants to see. The first time you see a beautiful car, great. Second time, you're talking about the mileage of the car. Third time, the family picture. And then connect that journey to the mobile. Hey, you want a test drive? You can go exactly 700 meters away. That's the Maruti showroom. Take a test drive. Or fill up a form on our online site and we'll connect with you. So I think that's the fundamental shift. Advertising is where the users are, and I think, like I said, what will play a very critical role is how it's funneling the impact of what your ad dollars are going to be spending. So, like I said, I agree with Anisha. It's not either or traditional, digital. I think we are way past that. I think it's obviously a very healthy mix of it. I think influencers have become such a big thing in the last 2 years, right? I mean, we were flooded with just influencer videos which are talking about it, and that's become an important mix within the advertising mix as well. So it's an evolving landscape, and we all have to be prepped and ready for how to tackle it, is what I believe.
Right. Picking up from that, you mentioned impact, and Brijesh, I'll come to you with impact. You have DOH offerings, right? So measurability is an advantage there. And I agree that we're still stuck to the kitna deti hai concept, and that applies to ROI, right? So measurement and ROI both are traceable, measurable on your medium. So how important is that piece, measurement? And in digital, since we do not have any standardized measurement currency, unlike TV. So what is your observation there?
So I think every channel that is available on the platform right now is measurable. We can actually go to the last mile. So from the first mile to the last mile. In fact, there is a gap where, a lot of times, because it's more of a online capture and an offline sale, tracking goes a little bit haywire, because at the OEM end or at the brand's end in the automobile segment, some of the places where we have a leakage, but a lot of companies are working towards it to actually get the full funnel. So I think it's a matter of time. Within maybe a year or so, all the systems are getting upgraded at all the auto level, and maybe in a year or so you will see that here is an ad and here is a sale, and that's happening. So we are already seeing it in some of the brands which are digital first, where every piece of tracking is happening. So whether they've done an ad on digital OH or YouTube or Facebook or anywhere on the digital platform, it can be tracked to end sale, right? And then we also get an understanding of what's working, what's not working, and what to communicate. I think everybody has given their views. My one important feature that I feel is, I'll repeat, yes, media mix is important, but creative is more important.
Sure.
We can do all the mixes, but we also have to start working on a lot of communication. As I said, yes, you're right, but there is a chance where a Gen Z who is got father's money doesn't care about kitna deti hai, and he will end up buying a bike which has no average, but he looks cool. Now if you again want to communicate to him कि ये इतना देती है तो गया, मतलब then he is not going to buy it, right? And that is what is happening. In fact, I'm seeing now Gen Alpha. So I don't know how many of you have seen that there are 13-year-old now who are influencers. They are actually making videos. They are already on digital platform. So in 3-4 years, 5 years down the line, the whole communication will change. Forget the media mix. Media mix may remain the same. But now suddenly the customer from millennial to Gen Z will be Gen Alpha. See, one thing, I keep telling on every platform that in the last 20 years, I think it's only one person, the CMO, whose job has become difficult, and kept changing. Because the customers on the other side kept changing their behavior, user, everything happened very differently. So I would again say that, communication is important, creative is very important. And, we can actually, the good news is that every car comes with multiple features, but we only want to communicate the one hero feature. We can actually make 26 creatives of that one car or that one automobile and communicate one by one as a story if we want to. It's just that, yes, that's what happens with us, is that it's either kitna deti hai or the EMI that becomes a hero, but there are 26 creatives that can be done.
Sure. And we'll move a little away from the kitna deti hai idea. As a Uber driver myself, I'm given too much credit for just knowing how to drive. I think that's nothing. So I'll come to you, Bhuvan, with a question. I think when Jimny was launching, I spoke to Maruti at length, and they were mentioning that how women buyers have become an important target audience for the brand. Right? So how are you fitting in women buyers in your communication as well as, planning your mix, media mix around that?
So let me also start with say again kitna deti hai has become everybody has become kind of obsessed with this word in this conversation. So that proves my point that this country is obsessed with on the pragmatic approach and the return for investment. I think before I answer your question, what everybody was discussing, I fully agree. In fact, it's not, I think she summarized, Anisha, very well. It's not traditional versus digital. It's what is relevant.
Sure.
If average Indian is spending about 4 hours on the screen, then I have to be relevant to reach out where he's consuming the content. But having said that, the point which I made is also important. Looking at the product you are into, you have to balance. On the women, of course, we have 2 women here, and purely by data in India today, women owners are less than 10%. But women drivers are much more, maybe more than 20%. But car owners are less than 10%, which is very low for a country like us. US is like more than 40%. China is also very high, more than 30%. I think women getting into increasingly getting into the mainstream as a workforce, we have been seeing it's kind of today also, I think 2021 data I was reading, it's about more than 25%. And going forward would be even more. So which enables them to actually independently start going out of the convention of ownership being with the male and not with the female. And we have been making conscious effort to reach out to women. We have been engaging women protagonists in our communication. The Swift ad which we had,
Yes.
one of the celebrity was a woman. We purposely brought on a sporty car. In terms of digital marketing, which I think was mentioned about using the creator ecosystem. So many of our now content being made by the creators, influencers are women. So it's very important. It's a very important target audience for us. And digital marketing enables us to reach out to them directly with the relevant content, which is specifically made to motivate a women buyer. And that's how it has been happening. I think as an industry, I would confess that we should be doing more on this.
Absolutely.
So that, of course, stays. And I would like to hear Vimal's view on this, how bike they are going to do it. But as an industry, we should be doing, and I hope we will do more.
Vimal, I had that question for you. While I still don't know how to ride a bike, but still I'm sure a lot of women do. I see a lot of influencers, women bikers who are creating content around bike.
To
working
be
with
honest enough,
brands.
in
So,
two-wheeler,
yes.
there is no gender inequality because two-wheelers are same for everybody, whether it's male or female. So we don't really say the checker flag is for male or female.
Sure.
I think if you look in two-wheeler space, scooter, roughly around 25% is a woman rider. So that's one good shift. And with urbanization happening, with rural and urban gap coming very closer, with women empowerment, where today women are able to take decisions of their own because they have a financially, they are becoming stronger. Earlier, they were dependent on their parents, their husbands. Now, since they are earning, they are able to take their own decisions. If you look few years back, they could take a decision on jewelry, not on an automobile. I think slowly they are shifting it from jewelry to automobile, and that's becoming a new jewelry for women folk, I would say. And in terms of what TVS we are doing completely different. TVS Motor Company was formed in 1978, just to give you a background. And 1980, we made the first moped, which was a 50cc. And in 1982, we went to the racetrack with a 50cc, and we broke a record of 105 kilometer per hour speed. So we have been racing since 1982, 4 decades of racing in India. We own the racing space in India very strongly, and I'm very happy and proud of it because in a way, it's racing in India. So TVS is one brand which has done this in India, saying that racing is not for rich. And now I'll bring the context. In 2016, as an Indian brand, which is very, very big, we are number 4 in world in terms of in market share of TVS Motor Company, right? And in 2016, we were the first brand to build the first factory woman racing team. Okay? No brand in the world, including Formula One or MotoGP, has a factory woman racing team. So that was a commitment by the brand in 2016 to commit to making a factory woman racing team. As a brand, women, we run racing championship exclusively for women. You must come and see the power of those girls, chasing those corners and chasing those boys on the track, where generally they get chased the other way around. That's the only place they chase them very badly, and you should see how they ride. And through that racing, we have brought empowerment. We do a lot of tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 level of training, thanks to go-karts. Everywhere you have go-karts, right? And we use go-kart for training women riders. And surprisingly, it was a couple of months back, I was in Pune on one of the track, and there were 2 ladies there. One was roughly around 50, and a daughter. Both were racing together. And the mother told to the daughter that I want to ride, and the daughter said, "You're welcome." And she had no opportunity when she was a rider to come to a racetrack to ride. And this is the opportunity they got to ride together on a track and beat each other. Of course, the girl, the younger one, won. But that's the way we are doing women empowerment and bringing motorcycle closer to the women folk. Of course, influencer, digital, and other things. I think it's all about, I believe that they can come in forefront when they get involved into it. It's not only making a decision on behalf of somebody else, but I think we should see more and more women riders on the road, and you can see it. And they ride now very safely, and they know how to change the lanes very easily. So that's the change you're seeing on the ground.
Right. I will change the lane of the conversation a bit over here, Anisha. In the some previous sessions, we were also talking about tying your messaging with the right content, right? And we also spoke about how auto brands have generally seen sports as a very popular category where they want to advertise because a lot of men buyers again over there. But that conversation is also changing, right? There are other content categories also that is becoming popular among auto brands. If you could elaborate a little on that.
Okay, so I think the relevance of sports hasn't gone. Let me be very clear on that. Our country moves with cricket, and cricket continues to stay important. There may be a lot of flirting that you do with other things that are available, but at the core of it, Sunday is India-Pakistan, all of us will sit down glued to the screen and watch that game. I mean, it's as simple as that. So the relevance of cricket doesn't go away. Sports gives you the opportunity to be quick in terms of getting your message out there to a lot of people. So it's important enough in the mix. Having said that, I think content as a term is so far-reaching and wide that there are, I mean, anything and everything, in my opinion, can get subsumed within the world of so-called content. What is interesting though, and I think specifically for some of the up-and-coming sports in the country, I think there's definitely, I was reading a case of, if I remember correctly, I think it was Audi in Germany that actually pioneered the whole paddleball initiative at that point, like about a couple of years ago, as something that the country wanted to back as an up-and-coming sport, because German car, because German sport, etc. So there is a lot of the up-and-coming. We have Kabaddi here, which is fairly popular from an India standpoint, grassroots India standpoint. So opportunities exist. There is a lot of original content beyond the world of Bollywood that is getting created today and is immensely popular as well. So Bollywood itself is getting a run for its money in the space of content. And there's such beautiful and seamless integration of automobile that you can do better than most other brands. I think most other categories, it kind of looks a little bit of a force fit. Auto is just so seamless, to be part of the story more than any other category. So opportunities are immense. Look, at the end of the day, I heard a few sessions ago, I can't remember, I think it was probably Virat, if I remember correctly, where he said the importance of everything boils down to what the brand fit is. Mm-hmm. And if it does make sense, and if I'm a macho looking car and it's a chick flick movie, then of course that is not the right fit for me. But if it's an Ajay Devgan jumping around, then it probably is the right fit for me. So yeah, relevance makes sense. In some sports is still important. Cricket is still important. Some other sports are coming up, so time to back some of them maybe.
Right. Nikhil, I'll ask you a slightly different question. We were discussing this before the session also about how India's auto market having, distinct dynamics when it comes to rural and urban market, right? So what are the biggest untapped opportunities in these markets, and how do automobile brands approach and cater to these diverse consumer segments?
I think I would look at this question as a continuation of the previous question, because I think, again, advertising has got to do with a lot of where your consumer is. I think I'll answer from an ad tech lens. I think in today's world, it's not important where the ad is shown. It's more important who the ad is shown to, and you can control those mechanisms, right? And we are far beyond the era of one car, Ford black model for all, right? Every car has so many segments. One will be a very sporty segment, which will appeal to a certain audience segment, and there'll be a family car, which will be a perfect fit for probably a Gullak kind of episode coming on Sony. Now, absolutely different genres of targeting, absolutely different cars, very different marketing teams running very different outcomes. And the formula for rural and urban sort of applies the same way, right? I think it's about capturing the audiences at various touch points. What you need to understand is you are the same person who was taking a lift, saw the car ad in your lift. You went up, you switched on your TV, you put on your content. I don't know, you were watching Annapurna, maybe you were watching news after that. You did something, and then while you were going to sleep, you just picked up one game and said, I'll go down to sleep. Now, technically, you're the same person who could have been shown the ad 3 times at a frequency of 3. But probably you saw the ad 9 times because we're dealing with multiple ecosystems, right? I think where the future is combining that ecosystem and able to target quite efficiently, whether you are obviously hyper-localizing it in urban or rural markets. Rural still is digitally penetrated, but impact mediums like print will always take a big part. If you talk to any distributor locally in an auto car manufacturer, will say, sir, ad nahi dikha, sir, digital nahi chal raha, kitna bhi aap hyper-local chala lo. They would want a half-paper ad. But then, when you're passing Bandra Sea Link and you see a big, nice hoarding, best driven young, BMW. You cannot miss it, right? So I think there is no customized solution. I think the guys are doing a phenomenal job, and I think India is one of the fastest growing digital economies, and adoptions are happening on those sides, and I think that's the way to look at it. There's no one size fits all. It depends on the category, the audience, and who you want to be capturing attention of. So that's my 2 cents.
Right. Brijesh, the same question to you, because I think OOH, DOH has a very big role to play, especially in tier 2 markets, right? Of course, also in tier 1 markets. So could you help us understand the untapped opportunities, if any?
So, see, again, India, there's a problem. The problem is on the, so I'm talking about the digital side, non-digital separate. 90% is with 3 players. There is not many players that are there in the market. Lot of them have tapped. I would still say one thing which is not tapped is the communication and the creative, which is different to different people. Whether we all, I don't know, sometimes we start using the word Varnak. I don't believe in that keyword, Varnak. I think it's regional language. There's nothing called as vernacular. I think people in Tamil Nadu actually have more money than people in Bombay, and they speak Tamil, so that's not Varnak, right? It's just the communication that we need to give, cuts that we need to make. And today what is happening is that, you know, we see a lot of things working, but what we've seen working best for some of our clients is not an influencer, but a micro-influencer. A person who has 10,000 followers, a person who has 6,000 followers are actually resulting into a better outcome than a person who has 1 million followers. Because in a 1 million follower influencer, it's a clutter. In a 6,000 communication, you can tweak the communication for your brand. You can actually tap him or her and say, this is what I want to communicate. That works better. So I think things are moving from, you know, big scale to micro, and I think that's what is going to be happening.
Perfect. And you know, this conversation could go on, but we have to wrap up the session. So I'll just ask, I'll just ask a light question to end this conversation with. You know, so many times we've used Kitna Deti, and now I'm having a tough time recollecting some other taglines. So I would come to each one of you, any one tagline or any one ad that you remember. Please don't choose from Maruti, or you can. To each one of you, we'll start with you. We'll start with you. An ad. Any good auto ad that you remember? Now, old, anything works.
Okay, this is okay. So one you put me in a spot. Thank you very much. Let me go to. Can I say no to?
Yes.
Could I be
How come this
PC
is the toughest
and say
question of
no,
the session?
Look, no, it's okay. I'm even extempore. Thank you for asking that question. But I'll give you an answer non-auto, and only because it's my all-time favorite advertisement for life. Even before I joined the company that I represent, because then you'll look like I'm talking about my own brand. But the Think Different on Apple is my go-to ever brilliant advertising ever.
Perfect.
So that's just my view.
Nikhil.
I don't know, man. Like, I think my favorite autocan, because this gentleman is sitting right here, and I actually do remember it quite well because it was one of my favorite ads growing up, was the Sardarji and his son. Papa rukti nahi hai. Have you seen, you know, it's like, that's the most amazing car brand ad, which was quite cool. I think I cannot forget that ad. I think it's one of the best autocar ads I've ever seen. And obviously in luxury, I would always say BMW. I think it's just phenomenal. I think in terms of their statics, The best ad on static is, I think, BMW, and then obviously the video is taken by Maruti.
Brijesh.
Yeah, I'm just not going to be biased at all. I think the Mercedes and the BMW ad, when they thank them for being there for 100 years, thanks for the competition. I think that's one thing that, I love personally.
Right. Vimal, we'll come to you.
Because you stopped us for saying kitna deti hai. You don't have a choice.
I think we've established it's all of our favorites by now.
I think one thing which Maruti did while entering India, I still remember that Kancha ad trying in the Leh Ladakh region to find a service center. I think that's the first brand which bought service first in the country. I think that still stays fresh in my mind because it was completely contrary to what people used to advertise was about product. This was the first brand which said service first, sales later. I think that still stays. And I'm hopeful that all automobile companies focus a lot on after sales. And
Right.
that's one ad I always remember.
Well, now all eyes are on you for this answer.
No, so first you should be remembering some auto ads also. I think a job for all of us, I will to make you recall auto ads. No, I'll be obviously, I will be biased because the ad, both of Maruti ad which were given as are the also best for me. It's not that I work for Maruti, but actually that is something which keeps coming to your memory all the time. It does make an impact. People who were not even born or they were kids, toddlers that time, even they, when they see the ad, they are able to connect with it. So I think that was a great communication. So both the ads, the Sardarji wala and the Kancha ad.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this conversation. Great chat with all of you.
Thank
you
you.
for joining us.